place that can inspire some poetry in everyone's heart, that kind of a place. And just to stay here is a blessing. You need not do anything more than that. It feels like what we can call an ashram. It feels like that. And very silent, very inspiring, and very beautiful. And also I am extremely pleased to see that you have done yoga in the morning, 1 hour yoga. Because yoga and some physical exercises are very essential into the old age, almost up to the very end of life. Why almost to the end of very life itself? There must be yoga and physical exercise in the life, because they keep us agile, healthy and active. When the body is sick, you will not be able to understand or experience any truth. There will be no Vedanta. Sharira madhyam khalu dharma sadhanam. So sometimes people who pursue Vedanta, they become victims of certain misconceptions. And I noticed that. For example, they believe that they need not pay attention to physical exercise and yoga. And they become lazy in the name of Vedanta. You see, you look at that. Because we are pursuing Vedanta, so we are not yoga people, we are Vedantins. Therefore, we need not do yoga. And we are not worldly people to go to gym and all that, because we are Vedantins. Therefore, we need not go to gym, we need not do yoga, we are Vedantins. So this kind of a misunderstanding of the word Vedanta can wreak havoc in people's lives. Because people become sick, and they remain sick, they will not be able to pull back from the sickness, they remain sick and they die sick. So that mistake should not happen. So we should remain healthy, and if some sickness comes, as it must by prarabdha, we should be able to handle it well, and then if possible, we should be able to pull back from that, and then we end life with a smile on the lips. It should happen like that. That will be possible only when we are agile, active, and practice some exercises and do some yoga. Therefore, the yoga that you have done today morning and you are going to do later in the coming few days is a great blessing. Already your stay here is blessed, because just being here is a blessing, and then doing yoga enhances that blessing. And then daily twice I will be speaking before you about a text called Ashtavakra Gita. Again, you should not look at it as an effort in studying a Vedanta text. This is the mistake, this is how I say, please don't mind my saying these things. This is how the people who subscribe to Vedanta make a second mistake. First mistake I have told you. My aim of telling these mistakes is that you should not do those mistakes. That is the idea, nothing more. It is not pointing out anything. It is not a pointing finger kind of thing. It is a kind of an expression of love, so that you have to safeguard yourself from those mistakes. So the second mistake is, Vedanta is kind of a study of a text. Why should you study a text? Suppose as a student of medicine, you are studying many texts, many textbooks, you purchase and study them. Because you have to train yourself as a physician or as a surgeon or whatever, and you have to acquire that skill. And then use that skill Sometimes it is called knowledge. The word knowledge is used in so many contexts. In every context it is used. Therefore, sometimes I prefer to use it less, because it could be misleading quite often, the word knowledge. Especially when it comes to the self, the word knowledge could be very misleading. I will explain that. Therefore, I prefer to use the word skill. You may say knowledge, the word is not the issue as long as you understand it correctly. Of course, the words are meant for conveying an idea. Anyway, therefore you study all these texts of medicine or engineering or whatever to prepare yourself for a job. The job of treating illness or repairing the machines or creating new machines or whatever. And therefore, that is how we lived the whole life. That is why we went to schools, colleges, and then university, and therefore that is the impression about studying the text. So we study the text with that kind of a goal. And then we come to Vedanta. And now we study a different set of texts. So generally they begin with the Tattva. So where all the definitions are given. And a lot more is also given in Tattva. But people pay attention, look at it as a kind of glossary of definitions. The terminology of the Vedanta you should become familiar. Why should you become familiar with the terminology? Because you want to study higher texts. What will you do with the higher texts? So, sometimes people pursue Vedanta without an understanding, proper understanding or complete understanding of the purpose or the goal. What is the goal of that? When you are in the university, when you study a text, the goal is clear. And whereas when you come to Vedanta, the goal, is it that clear? Is it very clear? I doubt it. Sometimes I get a doubt. So, therefore what happens is that habit of college and university is brought into Vedanta. We are already habituated to study in a particular way, with a particular approach. That is all, that is the way we have done in college and university. And it has paid dividends too. Having studied all those texts, acquired all that knowledge, we could make a living in the society. Not only a living, we gain a status in the society. Not just mere living, a status and a name and fame. And what they call social status, then wealth, and so many pleasures. Therefore, this study of all these texts, acquiring the knowledge of the skill, whatever you call it, it has paid rich dividends. And therefore, it was not a wasteful effort. And that's why we push our children and grandchildren also into that, because it is very fulfilling. And so this is the approach, nothing wrong in it. So that approach is kind of inbuilt in us, and we are ingrained with that approach. And we come to Vedanta with that approach. So Vedanta is studying a few texts like the way we have done earlier. And therefore we start studying the texts. And there comes a professional guy who helps you to study these texts. Because they are in Sanskrit. This is one very interesting thing. They are in Sanskrit. And you don't know Sanskrit. Therefore, there comes a guy who claims to know Sanskrit. And how much Sanskrit he knows is also questionable. But still better than what you know. Therefore, he handles Sanskrit texts. The texts which are in Sanskrit, which are the poems, etc., the verses, and he expounds in English, and therefore he is the professional. So he is teaching a text and you are learning a text. Are you following what I say? And then that connect, that all-important connect with life, it doesn't happen. Therefore, you see, without that connect with life, all this is study, or even teaching a text, studying a text. It is a combined effort, where there is studying, there is teaching also. So all this effort has no value unless that connect to life happens. And it won't happen by itself. It won't happen. You believe me, the connect won't happen. You have to make it happen. Not only that, if you are very professional and if you start believing that you are studying Vedanta and somebody believes that he is teaching Vedanta and you are all studying Vedanta, so a kind of a haughtiness enters into the situation. We become proud. I am proud that I am teaching Vedanta, I am a teacher. And you are all proud that you study Vedanta, which not many are doing. Go into the society, you do not come across the study of a text. It is the study of the book of life. That connect should happen. The very first day of the study, it should happen. It is the study of the book of life. So, once I asked my father, "Dear father, I am studying Vedanta, all right. But in life, when some adversity stares in the face, this Vedanta doesn't seem to help. And I am supposed to the Atma, the birthless and deathless, and beyond all the vicissitudes of life. That is what Atma is supposed to be. But in actual life, it doesn't seem to be so. We are victims of the ups and downs of life. We are in the grip of the events of life. We don't seem to have any mastery over things that happen in life, in spite of studying Vedanta. You don't feel like the Atma which the Vedanta text talks about. You don't feel like that Atma. You feel like the lousy, unhappy guy. What could be the reason? What is missing? Then he told, yeah, you are studying a Vedanta text. You are studying about Atma. You are studying about Brahman. And this Atma that you know a lot about, and this Brahman you know and study a lot about, has no connect with the real. The real Brahman, there is no connect. With the real self, there is no connect. It is all conceptual. So, for you the word Atma is merely only that much, namely a word, a verbal expression. When you say Brahman, it is a verbal expression, nothing more. You are studying about Atma, you are not studying yourself. That is the most unfortunate part of it, because the study of Atma, the inquiry about Atma, is really speaking, is the inquiry about yourself. Are you doing that way? Or simply inquiring or studying about an icon called Atma? There is an icon called Atma. One day you will go and embrace it. Presently, it is not with you, it is unfamiliar to you. You are something else presently, but a day will come while studying and studying and studying. A day will suddenly dawn when you will embrace that icon called Atma. That is the way people are studying. No surprise. That day will never come. It will never come. That's why they study Gita one round, and then they study it a second round, and then they study it a third round. In the meanwhile become sick. Therefore the fourth round takes a long time. And then the fourth round is finished. They don't know what to do. And by default, they study a fifth round. Kya baat hai? What Vedanta it is? Something is seriously wrong with it. Therefore, Vedanta is not, just I am making a big deal about a simple point. Vedanta is not the study of a text. It is the study of the book of life. Whenever the verse says Atma, it is not an icon called Atma that is described gloriously in a book. It is about you. And anything which is not about you, you don't need. Because you are not studying this to acquire a job or any such thing. You have already a good job. You have prepared yourself for it. And you have successfully practicing. You had been practicing the job successfully. You don't need this another endowment called Vedanta if it has to remain as an icon, as an idea, or as a concept. I don't know whether I could convey the thing to you adequately. I don't know, only you can decide that. There is a thing called verbal expression and then reaching beyond the verbal expression. There is a thing, there are two such things. I gave an example the other day. People told me that's a good example. Therefore, I am giving it to you. I was studying in a high school in a village, in a remote village, and we were kids, and we were running around and studying in the high school. There is a topic called social studies, one subject. Some 5-6 subjects will be there. One of them is social studies. Within that, there is a thing called geography. And in the geography, it is described in one paragraph. There is a thing called waterfall. And the world's most important waterfall is called Niagara. And it is a bitmark question. It's a bit question. There is a bit paper. Main paper where you write essay questions, answers to essay question, and then a bit paper. Bit paper, the answer will be given in one word or one phrase. And you will get 2 marks or 1 mark, some 30 bits will be there. And the bit question is, which is the most important waterfall? You have to write Niagara. I could write it. I got 2 marks. My next student could not write it because he forgot. And he did not get those marks. This is how I passed my high school exam. What is that Niagara that I have written there and got 2 marks, passed the exam with the flying colors, got first class, etc. What is that Niagara to me? What is that? It is merely a verbal expression. It's a word, nothing more. I was in a poor background, coming from a poor background in a village. I never entered into a bus also. I did not see a train yet. They used to make fun of us when we went to university. They asked us in MSc, a university class, hey, who saw the train for the first time? In MSc, I raised my hand because I saw the train for the first time. Came from the village to a town, nearby town for the first time, sat in a train for the first time and came to university. Can you believe it? So, what do I know about Niagara? Nothing. Nothing. But I know Niagara and I got 2 marks for it. And not only a few other marks like that, and I got a certificate and I got a degree. I know nothing about Niagara. This is how people study Vedanta. Could you understand? Then when I came to US, Swami asked me to come. I came. And then I finished my 1-year schedule. And I am going back. Swami was going back one day before me. I was going the next day. He asked me, hey, where did you go? You first time to America? Yes, where did you go? I did not go anywhere. Sitting in the ashram and going to a few places in New Jersey, etc. Did you go to Niagara? No, I did not go. You should go. We will see. I am going back tomorrow. He called Ashok. Hey, you send him to Niagara. Swami, time is over. I am going tomorrow. Okay, remember, next time you send him to Niagara one time. So next time I came. And Ashok, he was told, Ashok collected 4 or 5 of us and put us in a car and sent to Niagara. Then I went to Niagara. I saw it. That is something. Then I understood, oh, this is Niagara. Then, but I knew Niagara. I knew it. Now I got 2 marks also. I knew it. But I knew it, but I did not know it. Now I know it. Therefore, there is a thing called verbal expression and a thing called going beyond verbal expression. So, the knowledge that you talk about, if it is not reaching beyond verbal expression, if it just remains at the level of verbal expression, that is no knowledge. That is not knowledge. You may still call it knowledge because it is printed in books and read in books. People read it and people write exams about it, like me on geography. And people give lectures about it. And there are professional Vedantins who go around and teach Vedanta. And they are extolled for their efforts. All that goes on. And the students, they have become professional students of Vedanta. Year after year after year, they will be studying Vedanta without knowing what is Niagara. So, there is no way of reaching beyond verbal expression. Unless you reach beyond the verbal expression, there is no Vedanta. I have noticed an undesirable trend. Do you mind my pointing out these things?
No.
I hope you don't mind.
No, it's very good.
I am saying as a way of learning only. I am not saying as a way of criticizing some. It is not criticism. There is a name for it. It is called critique, not criticism. Criticism is different. Critique is different. Anyway, I found one trend in the circles of Vedanta. And the trend is the word will take you to that goal. The goal is away from you and the word will take you to the goal. Okay, then let us get hold of the word. Word is in the book? No. Not the word which is in the book. Then, word which is with the Guru. The formula with the Guru. Now, the formula which you have to get hold of, it doesn't come in an easy way. It comes with a Guru. And therefore, there is a formula which you have to get hold of it. Then only you will become self-realized. And that formula is with the Guru. And the Guru has to reveal it to you. In this structure, there are many pitfalls. One, that is not the way to know the truth. That doesn't take you to the truth. It takes you into a system. It takes you into a method, a system, a structure. It doesn't take you to the truth. Because truth is not a method. It's not a system. It's not a structure. That is one pitfall. Then another pitfall, it makes you subservient to systems. So you become subservient to the system. It is like the hospital. Is it meant for the patient or the patient is meant for the hospital? It's a very, very weighty question. I have come across a young man. I asked him, what is your profession? What is the job you do? I work in such and such hospital. Oh, good. Are you a physician? No. Then are you a finance man? No. Then what do you do? What is your job? He is a marketing executive. Marketing executive for a hospital? I can somehow manage to understand the marketing executive for a pharmaceutical company, because they have to visit doctors and so that the doctors prescribe and the medicine gets sold. Even that is a bit normal, but somehow we understand. But for a hospital you need a marketing executive. Patients rush to the hospital, you know. The hospital is meant for the patient. No, not like that. We have to bring patients. That means what? The patients are meant for the hospital. The hospital is not meant for the patients. Patients are meant for the hospital. Is it very different from a situation in which the course is not meant for the students? The students are meant for the course. This is not a matter of small importance, I tell you. It's a very weighty matter. You subserve a system. And that's why we come across this horrific situation, most absurd situation in which a person who is with the system for decades not knowing, not getting any benefit out of that system. It is something like you work for a hospital for 2 decades but you remain sick. Because the person has become subservient to the system. The system, he is not interested in knowing the truth. Knowledge of the truth has taken backseat long back, so to the extent that he has forgotten about it. Now he has only one job, to subserve the system. This is another pitfall. So all these pitfalls will be there. Anyway, maybe I am going tangentially somewhere. So coming back to the point, the study of Vedanta should be cautiously safeguarded from all these problems. Study of Vedanta is not, it should not become like you subserve a system, you subserve a structure. It should not become like that. It is like you are there only to support a hospital. You have to support many patients, you should come together and support the hospital. So anyway, it should not become like that. You should have that homing instinct, namely the truth. That is all you need. Everything else is unimportant, it is secondary. Sometimes, if you give more importance to the systems and to the methods, to the formula or formulae, the method or even methodology, and the system, the guru, the structure around the guru, when you give importance, more and more importance to these things, your original goal of finding the truth goes a-begging, that goal will be lost completely. Sometimes I was wondering, why not do both? We can do both, We can do all these nice things, like subserving the system, and also get the goal. No, it doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen like that. If you go to the hospital, to support the hospital and also to get rid of the sickness, it doesn't work like that. You don't get rid of the sickness. You get rid of the sickness only when there is only one goal, and that is getting rid of the sickness. That's why from very beginning I was against this idea of prioritization. This is a satsang question, comes to me all the time. So what is prioritization? In Vedanta there is no prioritization. There are no priorities. There is only one thing to do. That is, know yourself. Here we are not talking of priorities. I give this example. You go to the airport. There will be hundreds of flights. Your focus. Now, how many flights will you focus on? How many flights will you focus on when you go to the airport?
Just one.
Only one. But there are so many other flights. There is a flight to Moscow, and I see that Moscow, the flight goes to Moscow. I never knew what is Moscow, how nice it is, how big Moscow could be. And then there is a flight to Paris. Oh, Paris, there is a flight. But then I may be amused by all these names, but I cannot focus on 2, 3, 4 flights. I focus on only one flight. That goes to India, only one flight. Now you prioritize the flights. No, there is no prioritization. Okay? Okay, there is no prioritization. When you go to hospital, you don't prioritize. When you go to airport, you don't prioritize. But when you go to Vedanta class, you prioritize. So you got it all wrong. That's why when people were asking me about prioritization, I used to debunk the question. You got it wrong. You should know the self. You should know the self. The other day, somebody asked me, Swami, you speak about a topic in satsanga. I have done a satsanga in New Jersey. They asked me to speak on a topic. Okay, I'll speak on a topic. What would be the topic, Swamiji? I said self-inquiry. They said, okay, good. And then there was a hesitancy in their voice. I said, do you have another topic in mind? Yeah, Navaratri is starting. Okay, I'll speak on Devi Stuti. So I spoke on Devi Stuti. But in the mind I was thinking of self-inquiry, but then I ended up speaking Devi Stuti. Then it occurred to me, this is self-inquiry topic, I have to speak somewhere. So now I am speaking before you the topic of self-inquiry. I did not do it the other day, I am doing it today. There is a thing called self-inquiry. It is not self-knowledge. It is self-inquiry. You must have noticed in Brahma Sutra, it is not athato brahma jnanam. It is not. It is athato brahma jijnasa. Jijnasa is inquiry. Okay? So you do self-inquiry, not self-knowledge. The word self-knowledge, in Sanskrit you call it Atma Jnanam. Self-inquiry is called Atma Vicharaha. So why not Atma Jnanam? Generally, Atma Vichara is a better word than Atma Jnanam. Because the word self-knowledge is very misleading. Could be misleading. If you know it, then no problem. If you know it correctly, no problem. But if you tend to make a mistake, then you will end up with a mistake. Like Murphy's law. There is Murphy's law, which says when there is a scope for a mistake, you end up making that mistake. You see, it is like you went to the train station to receive a person. Now you don't know in which bogie he is, so you have to search from this end to that end or that end to this end. Invariably, you choose the wrong end. That is Murphy's law. Okay? So, similarly, the word self-knowledge can be understood correctly or it could be misunderstood. You end up by misunderstanding it. When you say self-knowledge, this word knowledge, how it is in your life. How is it in your life? You see, every human, I have hands, therefore I can hold on to things. That is, the hands are meant for. I have legs, therefore I can walk from place A to place B. I have the organ of speech, therefore I speak. I have this endowment called intellect. What is intellect? You see, eyes here, ears here, like that you can show, pinpoint. That's why they are called bahyendriyas, outer organs, because you can see the organ. I mean, the physical aspect you can see. The actual organ is inside, but physically this is ears, this is nose, like that. Like that you cannot pinpoint intellect. Or maybe you can pinpoint, this is intellect, like that. But that, what is that? The faculty to know. That is the faculty. This I would like to compare it with a pair of tongs. Suppose a pair of tongs you are holding. With that pair of tongs, you can catch something or the other. You can catch. Like that you can catch. In fact, there is a proverb in Telugu, must be in other vernacular languages also. The one who has a pair of tongs in his hand will not keep quiet. He will go and catch something or the other. And if he doesn't find anything, he will catch the most of the opposite person. Because, why should he do that? Because he has a pair of tongs in his hand. He cannot keep quiet. He has to catch something. The faculty of knowing is like that. You have to know something. Because that is a faculty, that is an endowment you have. Very subtle, inner, very close to your being. You exist, you exist, you are. And something which is very intrinsic to you, very close to your inner being, is this faculty of knowing. And therefore, you are always trying to know. Why there is a thing called newspaper? By early morning 6, it lands before your door with a thud. And you know the newspaper has arrived. And suddenly you rush to the door, open it and take the newspaper. Why? Why? Because it is like that pair of tongues. You have to know. Know what? Whatever. In Hong Kong there is a street demonstration. That is the headline. You know it. Sitting here, you know it. So what is it that you have known? In Hong Kong there is a demonstration. What will you do with that knowledge? That is not the point. The point is I have to know. In Chennai there is a road accident and how many people died? 12. Oh, 12 only? Because in India even more people die in road accident. So you have to know. What will you do with that information? No. You have to know. You have to know. And two people are talking there, you have to know what they are talking, you have to know. Suddenly there is a sound, suddenly you are sitting and suddenly there is a sound somewhere. Hey, what is the sound? You have to know. You have to know. Even the children, you give a toy to the child, it plays with the toy for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, then he reverses the toy and tries to pull out the toy because he wants to know what is inside. The karana he has to know. People want to know who created this world. So first you assume that somebody has created it and you want to know who created it. Because a pot is created by somebody, you know that, and therefore somebody must have created this universe also. And who could that be? And there is somebody who tells, I know who created this universe. And how he created also I know. And therefore you rush to him, because you have to know. That is what is called the faculty of knowing knowledge. Now you have known some very important things, and somebody says you have to know the self. Okay? Now you are ready with your pair of tongues to know the self. And somebody says, I know how to know the self. How to operate this pair of tongues, I know. The methodology I have. And so you rush to him. Don't you see the contradiction in all this? Because by the time you operate this pair of tongues called knowing or knowledge, another name for knowing is knowledge. It's a pair of tongues. Knowledge of physics, knowledge of chemistry, knowledge of astronomy, finally knowledge of Atma. Means with a pair of tongues you will know. And somebody will help you to know the Atma with a pair of tongues, which you already have. Only you don't know how to operate it, somebody else knows how to operate it. He has the method, he has the formula, and you get it and operate the pair of tongues called knowledge, and you will know the self. Don't you see the contradiction in it? The contradiction is what you know by operating this pair of tongues called knowing cannot be the self. Because there is a Shruti statement which is a very, very powerful statement. Vijñātāramare kena vijaniyāt. You must have heard, I suppose. The very knower, the one who knows, the very source of that knowingness, how are you going to know it with a pair of tongues called knowing? How are you going to know it? Therefore, as long as you are trying to know the self, you are trying to find out a method to know the self, you will not know the self. Because there is nothing like knowing the self. It is a contradiction in terms. Because if you know the self, that self automatically becomes the non-self. It is like knowing the self is sitting on one's own shoulders. Can you sit on your shoulders? You can sit on somebody else's shoulders. But can you sit on your own shoulders? Can you sit? You try, you visualize it. Can you sit on your shoulders? You visualize it, a physical thing, you know. You think about it. You cannot. You cannot. Similarly, knowing the self is ruled out. You cannot know the self. Then what? You can be the self. You cannot know the self. You can be the self. Okay? The sugar crystal cannot know the sweetness. If it knows the sweetness, it becomes the other. The sweetness becomes the other. The sugar crystal can be the sweetness. Therefore, there is nothing like knowing the self, but there is something called inquiring about the self. Because what happened is, by mistake, due to ignorance, instead of taking yourself what you are, you end up taking yourself what you are not. Therefore, you have to inquire about the self. There is nothing like knowing the self. There is only inquiring about the self. You see, once again, this is a very critical point, whether I am not sure whether I could adequately convey the criticality of it. The idea is, as long as you are operating this pair of tongues, you will not know. It becomes imperative to stop operating this pair of tongues. And that makes you free. Now you are not trying to catch something. You are trying to be aware. In the process, you become yourself. Therefore, anyway, we'll come to it. Therefore, you have to inquire about the self. There is a thing called self-inquiry. That's why, who am I? That is a very potent expression. Who am I? Which signifies the inquiry. How does the inquiry look like? Like you are inquiring about some say a diamond. Then you will ask the question, what is a diamond? How does it look? Like that. Similarly, the self-inquiry, that is the critical thing. It is not self-knowledge. It is self-inquiry, atma vicharaha. That's why Brahma jijnasa. Jijnasa mane vicharaha. Then Shankara says Brahma vicharaha. Therefore, you are inquiring about the self. You are, it is not about knowing the self. You just inquire about the self. So that inquiry is the most important thing. That truth, that inquiry, dear sir, you have to inquire about the self. You are not going to know the self. Therefore, the approach must be to inquire about the self. And that inquiry, it begins and also it ends with the all-important question, who am I? That's why the question, who am I, becomes a potent weapon against self-ignorance. I mean, against the ignorance of oneself. The question, who am I, becomes. That question, I took up on that question now in this discussion because it symbolizes or it epitomizes the spirit of self-inquiry. You know, the question will not be answered. You will not get answer to that question. It is an answerless question. You are not looking for an answer. Only you are staying with the inquiry. You stay with the inquiry. You are not looking for the answer. Looking for the answer means again operation of this pair of tongues. You are not looking for the answer. You stay with the question. And you are, suppose you get the answer. Suppose you pull out the answer. Where from you will get the answer? From the mind. And whatever mind knows is ignorance, is not knowledge. Is not knowledge. Mind tells you that you are a Brahmana, or you are an Indian, or you are a Punjabi. That is such silly thing mind tells you, which is false all the way. Therefore, you stay with the question, who am I? The idea is, the self-inquiry is the thing, not self-knowledge. That's why these professional Vedantins, they conduct themselves in a way that there is an icon called self. You have to know it. We are on the way to know it. And we are looking for the formula to know it, the method to know it. It will be known. It is known to the Guru already. He will make us know it. this entire ambience, are you getting what I am saying? It will be self-defeating. You will not know it. Atma, in Swami Vivekananda's words, is the unknown and the unknowable. Suppose you know the Atma, then it is not unknown anymore. It is not the unknown anymore. It becomes the known. And once it is the known, it is the other. And it is short-lived. It is not the self. Therefore, it is not only the unknown, but the unknowable. Therefore, you stay with the inquiry. This ambience created by this expression self-knowledge, that ambience, that mindset, self-knowledge, we are about to know, we will know. Guru knows, he has the formula, he has the method, and he will give it to me. God will shower his grace upon me, then I will know. This mindset, it is self-defeating, I tell you. It will not help you. Because there is no knowing of the self. There is only inquiry of the self. And Ashtavakra Gita epitomizes the self-inquiry. You should know a little about Ashtavakra Gita. It is a very interesting text. People shudder to open this text because it is very candid, very forthright. Its expressions are very categorical, very direct, and very unambiguous. That is how Ashtavakra Gita is. And it is very unhesitating. See, sometimes you believe me, when teaching Vedanta, you have to hesitate. Really, you have to hesitate. Because you are addressing a bunch of people who are conditioned. They are conditioned. And you know what is condition means? Means they are okay to listen in a particular way, but anything different, they cannot take it. It should not be different. It should be the same formula, repeated and repeated again and again. And you listen to it and feel good. I have to tell you, you are on the path of self-knowledge. You are doing great. Continue to come here and continue to listen to me. Continue to do what other things are needed, and you will know. So that is the type of conditioning. And into that conditioning, you go and say that you will never know. Your mindset is unfit to know the truth. Suppose you say that, it will shake up the guy. And people don't even want to listen to an alternate version, an alternate description. You have to describe like in a predetermined way, that kind of a conditioning. And then when you find such a conditioning in people, you have to hesitate. Not Ashtavakra Gita. Not. The most unhesitating text it is. Unblushing, unapologetic. Why unapologetic? Because when you are demolishing the well-established patterns of thinking, you are demolishing mercilessly. You you feel like apologizing. You feel apologetic. Oh, Muramak Manna. Like that you feel apologetic. Like a ritualist, you tell the karma cannot take you anywhere. You say that to him, then you have to, oh please don't mind. Then an upasaka, he believes that he is a devotee here and the God elsewhere he is worshipping. So in that dualism, and you tell that you are imagining things, then you have to be apologetic. Either you don't say it, or if you say, you become apologetic. Not Ashtavakra Gita. It says and it is unapologetic. That is the kind of text it is. Swami Chinmayananda Maharaj said in his book on Ashtavakra, people don't go to Ashtavakra Gita. They don't touch it either. There are a few texts they don't go near. They keep them purposefully away. Yoga Vasishtha, Upadesha Sahasri, and Ashtavakra Gita. They don't go near them. They avoid them. They hold on to a few other texts. Upanishads are what? They are amenable to any interpretation. Advaita people teach the Upanishad. And at the moment the Advaita person goes away, the Visishta Advaita comes and teaches the same Upanishad. And he moves away and Advaita comes and teaches the same Upanishad. Nowadays, the evangelical Christians are teaching Ishavasya Upanishad. Ishavasya Upanishad is not anybody's personal property. It is there in the bookshops. Is it your inheritance or what? It is there in the bookshops. Even Gita Press has published the book. You can go and purchase it. 10 rupees you will get Ishavasya Upanishad book. The evangelical Christian sees it. Isha, Asyamidam Sarvam. He knows a little Sanskrit. Or he got the translation also. This whole thing is pervaded by Isha. Isha is Jesus. Oh, what a beautiful thing it is. Even before Jesus came, the Upanishad predicted his arrival. They are amenable to any interpretation. Not Ashtavakra Gita. Ashtavakra Gita doesn't support your fancies, your rituals, your worships. It doesn't support. The anthropomorphic gods and goddesses that are worshipped by people. You want support for that, for all that? From Vedanta? Vedanta itself doesn't support all that, but you may derive it from here and there, but not from Ashtavakra Gita. It won't support. It will demolish. Therefore, they don't go near that. In fact, the name Ashtavakra is itself like that. There are 2 stories about Ashtavakra that tell us something about that sage, the kind of sage that you are dealing with. He was a kid born and his father was reciting some Veda. Then the kid said, "Dad, you are wrong." And he found fault with him, that you are reciting wrongly. Then the father looked at him. This kid born not even a few days, or not even a month, he is correcting me. I am reciting Veda for the last few decades. He has the gumption to correct me. The father was very angry. He ignored it as a kid, Then a second time he corrected. The third time he corrected. The father could not control his anger. Like in Kathopanishad, the father sends the son to Yama. Similarly, "Arey, shut up, I say. If you don't shut up, I am abusing you, the shapam, I am cursing you, that you will become crooked in 8 places." Because it seems that he has corrected 8 times or whatever. 8 places you will become crooked. Because the crookedness, you are crooked to correct the father. Therefore you become crooked at the neck, crooked in the shoulders, crooked in the back, crooked at the waist, crooked at the knees, crooked at the feet. 8 places you become crooked. Ashtavakra. That is how the Rishi Ashtavakra Maharshi, he started correcting at a very, as a child. And he lived correcting others only, and finally he died correcting. I mean, he demolishes every single formula or fixation that people have. This is one story. There is another story. Once he went to Janaka's court. Janaka is a jnani, Atmajnani. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhima sthita Janakadaya. Like that you hear the name Janaka in Gita also. Anyway, incidentally, before I come back to the story, Swami Chinmayananda Maharaj said in his introduction, even Sri Krishna will hesitate to say what Ashtavakra said in his Gita. That is what he said. Sri Krishna was a bit uncertain to say it or not. He will not say. He will just go round and he will say in a nice way. He hesitates, but not Ashtavakra. He is the most outspoken person. In modern times, I can think of only another Mahatma that can be compared to Ashtavakra. That is Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He was ruthless, I tell you. People don't know. He was ruthless. He wanted to spare anybody. Once he went to Bhiksha for satsanga to a household. They invited him, he went. And then he sat. And then they started discussing worldly things. He waited 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. They are not settling down for satsanga, they are discussing some worldly things. 2, 3, 4 minutes he waited and he got up. I cannot stand these worldly discussions. They are very painful to me. That is all Maya. And you indulge in Maya, I cannot stay in your company. And so, to hell with you, he walked out. And then he is walking, then somebody brought a buggy and made him sit in that and took back. He did not go back. Very ruthless. So, Sri Ramakrishna, so he is like Ashtavakra of modern times, kind of. When in his satsanga he used to talk of bhakti and other things. He used to talk a lot of Vedanta also. Vedanta and bhakti, they are not separate, really speaking. But people have an impression that he speaks bhakti, not Vedanta. That is not correct. Lot of Vedanta also. But anyway, when all people are gone, only when Vivekananda was around, only one person is there. He is there. Everybody else has gone. Then he used to ask Vivekananda, take out that book. There was one book, old book, Ashtavakra Gita. And he asked, take this out and read verses for me. Slowly you read. And so Vivekananda used to read those verses and Paramahamsa used to listen to them. That is his way of teaching to Vivekananda. That is the glory of Ashtavakra Gita. Anyway, coming back to that story, Ashtavakra went to the court of Janaka. Janaka is the great philosopher, and his court, there are many scholars of Vedas and Upanishads and all that. Then they saw him with 8 crooked joints from head to toes. They saw him and they laughed. Some of them loudly. Generally, you don't laugh loudly. You don't laugh. But sometimes you may not be able to contain the laughter. Then you laugh. A bit secretive way you laugh. Don't laugh open loud. So some of them laughed at him openly. Many of them laughed a bit secretively. And even Janaka Maharshi has laughed a little. Janaka Maharaja also laughed. And then they stopped. because Ashtavakra, he's a Maharshi and he's a great saintly person. He's a guest, you are not supposed to laugh at a guest, Then they stop. Then Ashtavakra Maharshi laughed. He laughed. Everybody was stunned. They knew why they laughed, but why he is laughing? What could be his reason? So Janak Maharshi receives him very politely and very reverentially and makes him sit in a good seat and asks him, why did you laugh? We know, you know why we laugh. That is obvious. But why did you laugh? Then he told, oh king, you are presiding over a bunch of cobblers. That's why I laugh. That is what he said. Cobbler is a chandala, that is the word, who make shoes with animal hide. These are the cobblers. Then Janaka said, I am presiding over cobblers? These are all scholars of Vedas and Vedangas, Rishis, Upanishads they have studied. They are not cobblers. No, they are not cobblers, they are animal hide merchants. That is what it is. They are rishis? No, not rishis. They are merchants of animal carcass or hide. Why do you say like that? You see, they identify with the physical body. You ask them. Ask them, do they identify with the physical body or not? How do you know they identify with the physical body? That's why they laughed at me. So for them, Ashtavakra is the physical body. Why? Why Ashtavakra is the physical body? Because they are physical bodies. You see, I ask you a question. You are, why Guru is a physical entity for you? Why your Guru is a physical person? Why God is another physical person? Because you are a physical person. If you are not a physical person, Guru will not be a physical person for you and God will not be another physical person for you. This entire duality that you are separate, Guru is separate and God is separate, came from the fundamental identification with the physical body. So you are no better than a cobbler or a merchant of animal hide. That is how he talked. That is Ashtavakra Maharshi. Okay? So these are the stories. These stories convey a message how powerful his teaching could be. So, anyway, the first verse is, we will say, Aho Niranjana Shantaha Bodhoham Prakrute Paraha Etavantamaham Kalam Mohenaiva Vidambitaha. You see, Prakrute Paraha, Aham, it is about myself. I know myself as beyond the Prakriti. Paraha is beyond. See, you hold on to the word beyond. It's a good word. There is another good word, transcend. That is another good word, transcend. You see, you do that all the time. You do that. Only you have to do a lot more of it. You do that, you have to do a lot more of it. You see, suppose you are taking a shower. You are the physical body. You are receiving a guest. You are not a physical body to the same extent. Don't you think so? Huh? Suppose you are eating food, you are the tummy. You are giving food to somebody else. You are not the tummy to the same extent. Sometimes people, they stop eating and give to others. Are they not transcending the identity with the tummy? You keep fast on Ekadashi day. There is hunger, but you bear it with love. You are proud that you are hungry. Are you not transcending the physical body? I assure you, you are not the physical body all the time. You have to understand it. You are the body only when you are particularly self-body conscious. Like you are hungry. There also you are not body conscious, you are hunger conscious. Hunger is not the entire body. Hunger is prana, it is. You are prana conscious. You are thirsty, you are prana conscious. So you are dirty, you are body conscious. You take a shower because you feel dirty, sweat and all that. You are body conscious. And you go to a doctor with some illness, fever, etc. You are body conscious. So you are not living with body consciousness all the time. You transcend the body consciousness all the time. You see, the same thing applies to mind also. You are body conscious only when body is sick. You are mind conscious only when your mind is sick. When you are jealous, angry, frustrated, spiteful, hateful, then only you are conscious of your mind. When you are loving, when you are quiet, peaceful, you are not conscious of your mind. You are conscious of your mind only when the mind is sick. You are conscious of the body mostly only when the body is sick. Therefore, don't assume that your body and you are body conscious and you are ignorant. You are not ignorant. You are not body conscious all the time. You are not the body. You know it already. You have not paid attention to your own experience properly. You are beyond the body. Your very nature is beyond. That is your nature. You look at yourself. You are beyond. Beyond what? Beyond the body. Beyond the sense organs and the organs of action. You say you are the doer karta. Are you the karta? You are sleeping, you are not karta. You are karta only when a very deliberate action you perform as a karta, as a doer. Like I do this puja, I am doing this puja for my own benefit. Then you say mama, for my own benefit, aham, I am doing. That is when you are karta. You see, that's why when you do a puja, if you do it properly with the right attitude, it will uplift you. But if you don't pay attention to all that, you just do it routinely, and assume that you are doing a great thing, then you are in trouble in the sense that every time you do puja with this attitude of acquiring something for yourself, and you are the doer. So every time you do such puja, you are concretizing the sense of doership and enjoyership. You are hurting yourself. You have to know that you are not the doer. When will you know? I am not suggesting to stop the puja. I am suggesting you have to do it with the right attitude. That aham and mama, you have to understand it properly and use them properly with the right understanding. This is the self-inquiry. And therefore, you are beyond. But unfortunately, you have concluded and you believe that you are not beyond. You are not beyond. You are beyond. Prakruteh paraha. Aham prakruteh paraha. I am beyond the body. You see, when the body is healthy, it doesn't seem to make a difference. Whether you say I am beyond the body, or I am the body, whichever way you say, it doesn't make a difference. When you are running, when you are hale and healthy, active, it doesn't seem to make a difference. Once the body is sick, less or more, it makes all the difference. I am the body and I am sick. The body is sick, but I am beyond the body. There is a tremendous difference between the two. Difference in what? In every aspect. The way that the sickness moves forward, the way you handle that sickness, the amount of frustration or its absence that you may have. Every single aspect of that sickness will be influenced by your identification or its absence with the body. Because you should know this, the physicians, they don't treat the sick person, they treat the sick body only. In America, they treat the sick person. In India, they don't treat the sick person, they treat the sick body. If the person interferes, he will give a slap and shut up. They don't talk with the sick guy, because the guy, what is there to talk with him? They put a shield before his face, hey, shut up and keep quiet. And then they open the tummy and do everything and seal it, and then take out the shield and go away. They don't, no physician treats the person, the sick person. There is no treatment for the sick person. Or you may say there is only one treatment for the sick person, that is attend a Vedanta class. That is the only treatment for a sick person. But for a sick body, there is a plentiful treatment. And the physicians, all glory to them, they treat the sick body. You don't notice it so much in America, because somehow the body identification is glorified here. You come to India, he doesn't care for the patient. He cares for the sickness only. They treat well. It's not that they don't treat well, they treat well. They give the correct medicine. He asks, hey, what happened to you? I am having fever since long, 2 days. What is the fever? Is coming and going? No, it is gone. So is it? He gives a prescription, go, get out. And somebody because he knows what is that fever. He knows, he did not have a culture test. The culture test will come after 48 hours. And it will cost 5,000 rupees. All that is nonsense. He knows. Because in the town what fever is going, that is the fever. And you give this, he will become all right. So get out. Now he won't talk anymore. Because he is treating the sick body. He is not treating the sick person. Who asked you to identify with the body in the first place? Therefore, prakrute paraha. Aham prakrute paraha. You have to realize that you are beyond the prakriti. This is a big topic. I will discuss it in the evening class. Om Purnamada 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 Shyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna.